On behalf of the Socialist Equality Party, I urge you to give us your fullest support in the election on August 21st, both by voting for our candidates and by participating in our campaign. The SEP is the only party advancing a socialist program to meet the needs and interests of the working class. Only the SEP has warned of the real implications for the working class of the coup that ousted Prime Minister Kevin Rudd. It was a graphic exposure of the real nature of parliamentary democracy, that behind the facade of votes, elections and the supposed sovereignty of the people, real power is exercised by powerful corporate and financial interests backed by the capitalist state. These forces, not votes at the ballot box, will determine the policies of the next government, Liberal or Labor. The election is taking place in the midst of the most severe breakdown in the global capitalist economy since the Great Depression of the 1930s. Having been bailed out to the tune of trillions of dollars, the most powerful global financial interests are demanding that the working class be made to pay through the slashing of social services and austerity measures lasting for decades. These are the international realities on which the major parties remain silent, but which will determine the program of the next government. And as the Labor and Liberal campaigns make clear, the attack on the living standards and social position of the working class will be accompanied by the scapegoating of refugees, immigrants and welfare recipients in an effort to turn social tensions in a reactionary direction. At the same time, the fulsome commitment of both parties to the unending, criminal, US-led war in Afghanistan signifies this program will be accompanied by increased militarism. Tumultuous social and political upheavals will develop in Australia as part of the re-emergence of class struggles internationally. The most important issue confronting the working class is the development of its own independent program to meet its needs and break the domination of the corporate and financial elite over society. The capitalist system has failed. The global economic breakdown stands as a devastating refutation of the hymns of praise delivered to the free market by the opponents of socialism. Likewise, it has exposed the fiction, peddled for decades by the Labourites and other would-be reformers of capitalism, that its excesses could somehow be regulated. For the overwhelming majority of the world's people, the profit system has nothing to offer except worsening exploitation, poverty, repression and violence. The International Socialist Program, advanced by the SEP and its sister parties in the International Committee of the Fourth International, has become a necessity. Economic life must be reorganised. The anarchic and destructive capitalist market system, based on the accumulation of obscene levels of corporate and private wealth, must be overturned. It must be replaced by a system of public ownership of the major corporations and banks with democratic planning to meet social needs. Despite the claims that Australia is exempt from global processes, no country is more integrated into the world economy. In October 2008, at the height of the financial crisis, the four major banks were on the brink of insolvency as funds from international financial markets dried up overnight. In the 2 years since then, none of the underlying contradictions of the global financial system have been resolved. Political events reveal the extreme sensitivity of Australian capitalism to global processes. In 1975, in the midst of a global economic crisis, the Whitlam Labor government was sacked in a Governor-General's coup, backed by the Australian military and the American CIA. Now a coup has taken place within the Labor government to oust the elected Prime Minister. The events of June 23-24 have raised to the surface of political life the long-developing putrefaction of the Labor Party. Labor is nothing more than a corporate and state-funded apparatus for the implementation of the demands of the ruling elite. Like the trade unions, it has long ago severed all connections with the needs and interests of working people. The party's factions are cliques of careerists, functioning as the bought and paid for representatives of financial and corporate interests. Workers and youth must draw definite conclusions from these developments. Above all, the need to build a new mass political party to fight for their interests and to develop new organisations through which to prosecute their struggles. This election campaign has seen both the Liberal and Labor parties draw deeply from the reactionary traditions of the White Australia policy as they invoked the need for border protection. In its fight for the international unification of the working class, the SEP asserts the basic right of all workers and youth to live, work and study anywhere they choose with full citizenship rights. Liberal, Labor and the Greens all uphold the doctrine of sustainable population in an effort to deflect attention from the real problems confronting society. It is the hallmark of a bankrupt social system that it blames people for the problems it causes. The issue is not sustainable population, but the unsustainability of the profit system and its fundamental incompatibility with the complexities of a mass society. Likewise, the pressing issue of climate change cannot even begin to be tackled, let alone resolved through an ETS, a carbon tax or any other market-based system, because the capitalist market itself is the cause of the problem. The first step in a solution is to end the subordination of the Earth's ecosystem to the profit requirements of the giant corporations. No solution to the pressing problems facing the working class will be found within the electoral system, least of all by supporting the Greens. This party seeks to attract support, especially from young people, by criticising aspects of the present order. But the Greens are a thoroughly capitalist party, hostile to the working class. They are committed to supporting whatever government, Liberal or Labor, that comes to power, and providing it with stability as it attacks the working class. In calling for your vote, I urge you to go further. Study our policies, participate in our campaign, join the SEP and build it as the new mass party of the working class.